All podcast. We're gonna do what we always do and go around the table and tell you our names. Megan.
Ash Sweetring.
Scott.
Noah or Booker.
Eric Browning.
Whitney or Zabracus.
Woohoo! So today's topic, materials. Not materials, just materials. But yeah, so beginning, cosplay requires a bunch of different materials, right? Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Bunch of different skills. You're like, what materials? It's all invisible.
Where?
It's your imagination, like in Hook. No, we're gonna go around and talk about our favorite materials to work with. Who wants to start? Nobody wants to start. Okay, I'm just gonna randomly point. Noah,
Damn you.
what is your favorite material to work with?
Well, nothing here. But with me, I'm just going to start with the whole middle school presentation. With me today, I have some craft foam. I don't know how to describe it better than craft foam.
How thick is it?
Pretty thin.
About 2 millimeters.
I don't know sizes.
That's the standard thickness for craft foam
Is this
usually in
metric
stores.
system? What do you mean?
I do everything in metrics. It's so much easier to scale.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's foam. That's about it. I don't know how to describe craft foam. White. This one's white and foam-like. Used for craft.
Is it spongy?
Yes. Foam.
Like foam.
So imagine foam. It's like that.
So not like insulation foam and not like yoga mat foam, but it's thin.
It's sort of like yoga mat
It's
foam.
it's a very
As you still
thin.
haven't had next year.
Yoga
Which I
mat
happen
foam.
to have.
And
Yoga
he
mat
has
foam.
he has a yoga mat foam. It's purple.
Yeah. And it's foam.
With
Honestly, it's,
patterns.
It's purple foam.
it's spongy. You can use it a lot for like templates and stuff like that. Or they use it a lot like craft foam and stuff like that to put in the middle of Warbler to make it a little bit thicker so you know it's not so thin, doesn't break as easy.
We'll talk about Warbler later.
Yeah.
Sandwich.
So you make a Warbler sandwich and it makes everything like a lot sturdier. And yeah, that's probably the primary use for it. I mean, I know you can mold it to make light stuff. Like I know one of my friends has an entire cape made out of craft foam. But yeah, so that's about it for this kind of foam. There's other types, but
So we're gonna come back to your favorite materials. Everyone has something. Everyone has something in their hands right now. And Ash, what do you have in your hands?
I
What
have in
material
my
is this?
hand Whitney's Zabracus. Am I saying that right?
Zabracus.
Zabracus's torso with added boobage and
And a tail.
She doesn't have her torso in her hands, but
it's it's basically a clamshell entrance. So it opens up from one side and allows our body to enter in and then exit out. Obviously,
stuck in it forever.
and it's made out of Warbler. Is this sandwiched?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a sandwich with foam.
with
Yes.
craft
Yes.
foam.
What?
Stop being eating
Oh,
at the table.
sorry.
Yeah. People are had it.
The poor microphone.
Ear bleeding.
You know.
Okay, I'm done.
you used Warbler on your Daedric, right?
I did use
Talk
Warbler on
about
my Daedric.
Warbler.
Warbler.
The Warbler
The
is
German
from
goddess
the
calls it
Germany. Yes, everybody knows Warbler from Kamui Cosplay, which is the best human in existence. Yes, it is. Gosh, how do I explain Warbler? It's a thermoplastic that you can use to create happiness, and it. I don't know, you're freaking me out. It's a brown color, and it's plasticky, so it's kind of like hard saran wrap.
And it smells like maple syrup when it's
It
hot.
does smell like
Does
maple
it
syrup.
really?
Yeah,
That's great.
It kind of does.
You use it for like
Yeah.
detailing and everything. I don't know.
Molding.
Armor.
Molding, yeah, you could sculpt with it. I use it for everything.
Adhesive, self-adhesive.
Yeah, it's a self-adhesive.
It has a rough-ish side and then a very smooth, extra gluey side.
Extra gluey.
And yeah, it's very easy to make booby plates out of. Great for details, great for any armor, but it's expensive. And actually there's transparent Warbler now too, so that's kind of cool. I haven't played with it yet though.
Not quite the same, but yeah, it's not as adhesive.
Mm-hmm.
It's only like
Yeah,
one
it won't
side
adhere
and
to
kind of light on
itself.
top of that.
Oh, yeah, you have to use a adhesive with it. They recommend crazy glue.
But it's good for making like face shields and masks and cool stuff.
All right, Scott, what do you have?
In my hands, I have wood.
Is that poplar?
This is actually cedar wood. Just, I actually bought this down at just your basic hardware store. It comes in sheets in various thicknesses and sizes.
You're a professional.
I have quite a quite a bit of skill in carpentry, and I have built a pair of tonfas, mirror image of each other. If you don't know what a tonfa is, it's basically kind of like, best way to describe it is the police force has their nice billy clubs. Imagine that with blades on it, and you're in the ballpark. Besides the tonfas, I also have Sintra. Part of this is Whitney's Wonder Woman belt. I built the nice Wonder Woman logo.
That is super cool.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks.
You didn't do anything.
Scott's a Cincher wizard, and I wish he would have brought his Two-Face crazy mask thing.
I forgot it. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, this one I actually built out of several layers. I had a stencil, just stenciled out each layer, glued it on top of each other, and good to go. It is also a thermoplastic, so it reacts to heat.
Not self-adhesive.
Not self-adhesive.
It's PVC, so
Yeah, it's
PVC
only a
glues
chemical
are-
bond.
Yeah, PVC glue works with PVC.
Like your sprinkler.
Which is basically what
Yeah.
Cincher is.
Yeah.
All right, Whitney, what do you have?
We skipped me.
I'm just
I have
going
so
out of
many
order.
things. So, more Warbler things I can do. And then I have more, that's really loud, I'm sorry. But why I really have these is because I have a lot of different paints. So one thing I have is gesso, which is a fabulous way to prime your Warbler or Wonderflex, which we'll go over later. And then you sand it down after you do like 1,000 layers. And then whenever you work with wigs, tacky glue will be your best friend ever in the world. But whenever you're working with almost anything, your most bestest friend is going to be a hot glue gun. This one's tiny and pink and doesn't work very well, but it'll still be your best friend.
That one is poo.
It's
I think
really
that's the
not a
one.
good one at all. And then also just painting, because whenever you're working with thermomorphic plastics or almost any type of armor thing you're going to be building, you're going to need to paint it. And so this is made with a variety of spray paint and also just acrylic paint. Acrylic paint is fabulous and super cheap. And those are the only materials. Oh wait, I have this too. So this is something new I'm going to be trying. It is literally a mannequin that you buy from a display store, and I'm going to be tracing and chopping it up to create armor. Deathstroke. This.
With boobs.
Yes, so this way I don't have to actually morph the boobs like with the Warbler that's over there for the Saiyan armor that we talked about earlier with Ash. Instead, they're already preformed and it's fantastic, and we're gonna see how it works. But apparently a lot of the local Mandalorian Mercs Club females have been creating theirs out of these, their Merc armor, and I think they're turning out pretty awesome, so.
If you don't know what
Nice.
Mandalorian is, Boba Fett, Star Wars.
Yes, that.
Just broad spectrum there.
Reference.
all right, Eric.
Wonderflex. I don't actually personally work with it, but I'm vaguely familiar with it. It is a thermoplastic, thermo meaning heat, plastic. You heat it up and it gets soft. Once it cools down, it'll keep its shape, much like the torso piece over there, and much like this shoulder pauldron of Whitney's Saiyan armor from Dragon Ball Z. Vegeta, right?
Yeah.
So the thing with Wonderflex is it's smooth on one side, and then it has a rough inside. And this rough inside is it's a grid material. So you have to consider that when you're making your your armor or whatever piece you are out of the stuff, because if you have that grid side up, it's going to be a lot of sanding, a lot of filling that's smoothed out. If you have it on the smooth side out, it'll be much easier to paint. This is actually definitely smoother than Warbler on this smooth side, but it's only adhesive on one side, whereas Warbler is adhesive on both sides. And this looks like your shoulder piece here. It looks like you've done multiple strips. Grid side, smooth side, grid side, smooth side. And this is a shoulder polisher, and I should be more descriptive with my fancy words. And one thing when you're making armor, EVA foam on the inside. Give yourself some padding, because
Save your skin.
yeah, you'll
Yeah.
be wearing it all day. It'll rub you raw
Yep.
everywhere. And then other things. This is back to Warbler. Warbler. Almost everybody does flat stuff, but most people don't know you can do round things.
Wait, who made that?
Me.
That's super cool. I would have just thought to buy like a vine that's like already made, but that's a super, super good
Is this
idea.
autumn ivy?
Yes, I made an
Very
autumn
cool.
ID.
You can take your scraps and you can heat them up and then roll them out like you would cookie dough and make a piece like this out of it, and then coil it around and do whatever you need to.
So
It
that's
also does great for detail work. You know, you need to make little scrolls and curls and junk.
Yeah, so that's one of the best things about Vobla is you can reuse the scraps again and again and again and again because it'll constantly reheat itself. I mean, obviously it gets worse after each time you have to reheat it, but unlike Wonderflex or Sintra, or basically any other thermomorphic plastic, you can just keep reheating it and reusing it and it'll continue to be sticky and fabulous.
Yeah, and
And
do you know there are people using pasta rollers now to take the scraps and
Yeah.
turn it back into a sheet?
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. I haven't done that yet.
So we're gonna do though.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so have we gone through everybody's materials already?
I think
so
so.
we have with
Ones that
us,
are-
I believe so.
And I don't have anything in my hands to show you, so
You have a
these,
tail.
these guys are covering all of the
Bases.
bases. Here's a tail attached to the torso piece.
There's one thing we can talk about that I didn't bring. but I
Sure.
meant to.
Oh yeah, there's other things we should talk about that we
Yeah.
didn't bring.
Like epoxy sculpt.
Yes.
Oh, I love this stuff. It's a two-part play. It's spelled with an A, but it's like epoxy.
It comes
It's-
in different names. I've heard it as
They call it epoxy
Yeah.
clay or
It's an
epoxy
epoxy
sculpt.
clay.
Anyway, it's a two-part substance, part A, part B, equal amounts, mush them together till it's the same color all the way through, so you don't get like little stripy, wavy, marbly bits. It's just got to be the same color all the way through, then you just start sculpting with it. That stuff dries hard as a brick when it's done.
Really? Does it like shatter at all? Or like kind of like crumble?
If you hit it with a hammer, yes. I did some of that on Zod, and I had to actually use my oscillating saw to get it back off.
Oh wow.
Power tools. It's sticky and it's
Yeah.
hard, but you can. The biggest trick with using epoxy sculpt, water. Just smooth it out. It'll just be nice and
It's like
just
clay.
buttery smooth.
Like-
Just like clay, only it's
Okay.
epoxy.
So now that we've covered a lot of the really like, I don't know, I guess
Covered
dominant
the
ones in cosplay. Yeah,
basic.
we've covered the bases. What are your favorite materials to work with? If you could just pick one material.
Human flesh.
All right, Leatherface.
Warbler, definitely Warbler,
Okay.
because it's versatile.
Yes.
Yeah, you can clearly you can make a bunch of different things out of it as we've seen.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to say Sintra, only because of the fact that I have played with Warbler and it is very nice and flexible. It is expensive, very expensive. That's why I just beat the Sintra into submission and get it to do what I want it to.
He really does. I don't know how he does it.
Warbler face.
Anyone else?
Warbler. Warbler.
I love Warbler because here's one thing you can't do with Wonderflex. You cannot do a compound bend. You can do a bend like this.
Yeah.
You can do a bend like this, except this one's already got edges.
Yeah.
But you can't do a sphere
do a
shape,
boot.
which is a compound that bends in more than one direction at the same time.
Actually,
So it's hard to make something.
It's not so adhesive, but I'm pretty sure that it can act the same as Sintra. And Mr. Master of Sintra over here, tell them what you made.
For the Masquerade Ball a couple of weeks ago, I made a Two-Face
From
Masquerade
Batman.
Ball from Batman. We all know him. I made a masquerade mask, and I had a piece of Sintra, and I cleaned it up, and I basically beat it into submission, and I got as far up to my head. So I got my whole forehead formed, actually pretty close fitting, but I also got the hardest angles were the bridge of my nose and into the part of my eye, and where the sockets of my eyes.
Look, criminal.
Gesundheit.
So yeah, that's why I favor Sintra as well too, because I have managed to push it in limits that
Push it
many,
to the limit.
yeah, many people don't try to push it into.
That's something to talk about is drawbacks of materials.
Oh yeah.
Warbler and sun. No.
Oh yeah.
That is
yeah.
not true.
Nope.
That is not
Well,
true.
we
I've
tried to-
never melted in the sun with the sandwich technique.
I got a little soft. I mean, I could feel it getting warm, and it was starting to get more bendy on my shoulder pieces
Yeah,
because they were
yeah.
just a double thickness.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's not good for exposed sun.
Yeah, if you
for
were doing
long
a
time.
shoot out in the
It
sun.
also depends like
Yeah,
how
fine shape.
What if you like coated
Yeah.
it?
it is
That was
and
running
how big the piece is. Cause like my Saint armor, I haven't ever had any issues with, but like with my Wonder Woman bracers and my Wonder Woman crown, like those became extra flexible in the sun.
Yeah, I made a Thor costume, and the wings were Wonderflex foam, and then Wonderflex on the
The
backside
wings
too.
on the helmet.
And I was outside for I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, and they started like they didn't actually like lose their shape, but they did start to get soft, and they kind of like they almost wilted. And then as soon as I had had to hold them in place while I was like walking in the building, just to like make sure that
You're fanning
I
your
walk
wings.
like this.
Cool down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Wonderflex and Warbler melt about the same temperatures, as
Yeah.
sun,
Uh-huh.
so they're bad for sun.
Yeah. And Wonderflex
yeah, but-
is or Warbler.
Luckily, most of the time, if you're at an indoor convention, with which most are indoor, you won't really have a problem.
you
And if you're doing like a shoot outside, or you have to walk a long distance to get to said convention, keep them as cool as you can. Don't leave that stuff in your trunk of your car.
No.
Just be very, very careful.
Yeah, my danger helmet melted in my car.
Just be
Aw.
very careful about
I
what you
reshaped
do.
it. It was fine.
I had a giant box of both Warbler and Wonderflex, and I left it in my car for
New?
one day.
You had a puddle.
Brand new, like still all rolled up in the giant box.
No.
And they
Opened it out,
performed-
they're all melted together.
They all performed the Dragon Ball Z fusion.
That is
That would have
awful.
crushed my
But
heart.
that's the nice thing about Sintra, that's sun safe.
Yes.
And wood.
What is sun safe?
But flammable.
Technically, you
On
know,
most things.
Sintra
Everything will
and yeah, everything here
Everything
will burn
burns.
because these are all petroleum based. You know, those burn as well.
Actually, Warbler is wood chips, wood fibers.
Really?
It
Is
is.
it?
Yes. It's,
What?
Oh,
it's
wow.
made from recycled material.
Okay.
They use Warbler. Warbler actually originally came from shoes. So like the back of your shoe, the heel,
Oh yeah, I did know that.
that stand-up part, the hard parts of most sneakers and whatnot is usually it's from the Warbler family. This is one particular variety that we all use and call Warbler.
Yeah, this
But I forgot what they actually call it.
it's
It's-
Warbler's finest art.
Yeah.
No, the actual name from the company.
Oh.
It's from like Reisendorf or something in
Yeah,
Germany.
it's some weird German.
But anyway,
word.
they make multiple kinds and multiple
Don't
things.
call them weird.
But what we call is Warbler, this 1 millimeter thick stuff.
That's nice.
Most
Okay.
shoes.
So because there's so many different materials, where do you get them?
Online.
That's Google.
There's a place called the internet. You can find many varieties.
Amazon.
How about let me be specific. Websites, stores, name specific places where people, watching or listening, will know where to look and where you can find them.
CosplaySpy.com.
Google.
Did
I've
you say
heard,
cosplay supplies or cosplay spy?
CosplaySpies.com. If I know your spy needs, no, CosplaySupplies.com. And I should only say that because I'm sponsored.
yeah, that's the Warbler distributor.
Yeah.
I know
Actually, they sell. all
wonderfully.
of
They
this.
sell everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
boots,
they-
wigs.
everything.
I know Beck Leathers and Crafts here in West Jordan is trying to
Candies?
become
Oh,
a
Bex.
Beck's out in West Jordan. They're trying to become a Warbler distributor. We don't know yet.
Last time I went there, they only had Terraflex. Don't buy
It's
Terraflex.
terrible.
Don't do it.
It melts under how much temperature?
It melted under my shirt.
Oh Oh.
Yeah, I made a
It's pretty
bracer.
hot.
Me and Fitz from Salt Lake. What? I don't
Fitz
remember.
Calliston.
Fitz Calliston.
He's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
He has this workshop in Salt Lake City, and we got a piece, and we decided to just do a tutorial on it to experiment with it, and we made just a simple bracer with some EVA foam. So it wasn't even just like the Terraflex by itself. It had EVA foam, so it could still hold its shape and stuff.
Much like
and-
you make a sandwich with
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, precisely. And we heard a rumor that some girl down in Georgia for Dragon Con had a Terraflex armor over her breasts, and it melted out in the sun. And so she was totally exposed to everything. And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to try a body heat test. And I ran around his warehouse with the bracer under my shirt, and it melted probably within 15, 20 minutes. So, complete crap.
Yikes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Warbler takes a
So
heat
maybe
gun
if you have a
Yeah.
very cold weather convention,
Or
it
if
would be
you use
okay.
it for
Alaska
something that's
Con.
not covering your bits and pieces, then
Does it like turn like stringy, or is it kind
no,
of
it's
just
not
like
like
all,
it's losing its dexterity or anything. It's just like
it becomes like
Just gets
melted
floppy.
warbler, kind of.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
wiggly, pancakey.
I could
Like
probably
batteries.
pull it apart though,
Expands.
and it would
Like
separate.
anything does when it's hot.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have cosplaysupplies.com,
Amazon and Harbor Freight
Amazon.com.
for like EVA foam
And
tiles.
support local, Dandies and Becks.
Yes.
You can also get those EVA foam tiles at like your local hardware stores.
Yeah.
I've
Okay.
seen
They happen to be
Pretty
the
common.
cheapest at Harbor
like
Freight.
Costco and whatnot.
And then
That's
there's
what
like, and then
happens.
there's your normal like Joann Fabrics or Hancock Fabrics or just like Walmart. I don't know, a bunch of different places that sell
Yeah.
fabrics.
Yeah, Michaels and
Hobby
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 Lobby.
Lobby. Depends on your location.
And Yaya Han sells Warbler on her website, right?
It sells for
Does
a little bit more
yeah,
than
Mark,
cosplay
and she
supplies.
charges
Okay.
shipping.
Yeah.
I bought some from her once, and it took a little
I
bit
did
longer
too.
to ship
Yeah.
than when you buy it from Cosplay Supplies. They ship it almost
Mhm.
within a day or so.
Unless you do holidays, that's the time
Yeah,
that I
that's
lucked out. Yeah, I bought from her on the holidays, and Cosplay Supplies was backed up from that kind of stuff. So.
Start early,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Order lots in advance and just
keep it.
yeah.
Just roll it up and put
It's
it in
like
the corner.
gold to cosplayers. Like if you're like, I have Warbler, cosplayers are like, you're the richest person on the planet.
Oh yeah. I've
So your
sold
Warbler
extra
brings all the
pieces of
cosplayers to the
Warbler.
yard, is what you're telling me.
Beating you up. And they're like, I don't know, I can't remember.
I've had to loan out Warbler before. Has anybody got any Warbler
Yep.
on Facebook? Yeah, I got some. All right, come and get it.
Yep.
So
I've done
Warbler
that.
is one of the most expensive materials that you can get, but the most worth it, yeah?
Most versatile.
Definitely the most versatile.
Versatile, yeah.
Versatile.
BGO.
I think
You
it's
can
worth it.
make sculptures with it. You can do armor with it. You can do
Yeah.
So when it comes to the materials, do you have to set aside, I'll bring back the money conversation because this is going to end up coming up in every single one of these videos because, it does
Bro,
cost
feed
money.
us.
So,
We'll work for
Buy me
Warbler.
something.
yeah.
Please feed your cosplayers.
So since that one, since you have to pay more for things like Warbler, would you say that you spend less on other things to make up for that?
See,
Or do you try to like bargain or like coupon?
what I try to do is try to avoid, like, I love Warbler, but avoid it at all cost.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because
I try
once
to
you
not
start,
use it.
like, if you pick up the first thing, like, if you start cosplaying and you pick up Warbler, there's nothing, you're not going to use anything else, ever.
Yeah, the
you're not going to
first-
play around, because, it's so great. You're just like,
Yeah, I was gonna say
The
I don't
first
use anything
material
else.
I
just
used
use
was
Warbler.
Warbler, and now I'm trying really hard to not use it and try using other cheaper materials.
this would be a lot easier if
I
I
think-
had Warbler.
I think
Yes, I
Zod
say that a lot.
was like 2.5, 3 jumbo sheets of Warbler.
Oh my.
And
Yeah,
how
I was
much?
gonna say,
I
How
think
much?
it's solid
Three
Warbler
shit-
from top
Oh.
to bottom.
sheets at a pop.
You're 3 sheets to the wind.
So how much
almost
how much would you
$300.
say that cost you?
Well, when you buy it a couple at a time, there's a
They
couple
just kinda
people
hold
in the
20
Cosplay
cents.
Utah Face group. They'll do a bulk order. So
Okay.
you get a couple people together, everybody buys a couple sheets, and then you get a bulk rate, and so you'll get it. You'll get
So
it for
there
a
are
couple
ways-
$5-10 less.
So there are
Still a
ways
couple
to
hundred.
kind of
Yeah, you can.
to kind of budget things like that.
Right.
Get a group of cosplayers together and all go in on it, so you can all be broke and eat ramen together.
So you get 10 people with 10 sheets of work, or 1 sheet of Warbler each. You get a break.
You're all still eating the top ramen.
Yeah.
So
I'm
do you
not.
guys try to like recycle your materials, or like you said, you can reuse pieces that you're
You
not
should.
using? Do you try to use every scrap that you have available to you?
You
Yeah,
shouldn't
like
ever
when I-
throw away Warbler.
Yeah, when I'm
No.
doing details, I've got a little drawer set. And I keep all my scraps in there, like big scraps, medium scraps, little thin scraps.
Yeah.
And then when I need a
boxes
piece
that.
for like if I was doing this armor, if I was doing this little trim piece, I'd go find the little piece. Because you don't have to have one whole piece.
Yeah.
You
Right.
can use several smaller pieces.
just
And with
mold
Warbler, you
it.
can kind of squish the edges together if you want to get rid of the seam.
Yeah,
And you can use it for
And
like
then you're
little like details and just
Yeah.
like little scraps
Exactly.
you can find.
Keep all your scraps.
And as far
at
as-
least Warbler.
As far as fabric goes, do you guys go through your closets at all? I do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh yeah.
take shirts apart if I need a pattern and I don't have a pattern, and I know I have a shirt that I haven't worn for like a really long time. It becomes a pattern. I stitch it and have my pattern out to build whatever costume I need to, and it works out pretty well.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a hoarder. Like I keep
Hi,
like
Megan.
hi. I like will go through my closet and I'm like, I don't wear this anymore. I don't wear this anymore. I don't wear this anymore. But I'm gonna put them all back because one day I'm gonna use them for a costume.
I
Is it
totally
organized by
just did
color?
that the other day.
I do that with
Are they all organized by color?
Oh
All
no.
the blues, all the browns.
No,
Ain't
they're all
nobody
just
got time for
they're all
that.
just
Yeah.
kind of in there. But yeah, like you said, like you can use things for patterns. You like lay them down, you cut around them, unstitch things, see what fits you and what doesn't. I also like have a bunch of fabric that I want to start like just like adding things to other things. And so like it's really like you can't get rid of anything anymore, like because you're gonna use it eventually, especially when
Yeah.
you're spending so much money
On
buying a
Warbler.
specific material.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of patterning and stuff, I mean, I did the same thing. I took a sleeve off of an old long sleeve shirt that I laid out so I could figure out how much chainmail I needed, which was a lot. And then I knew kind of knew the shape, and I knew how wide it had to be here and how wide it had to be at the wrist. But also for patterning, butcher paper. Go to your party supply store like Zurcher's. They've got just rolls of it. It's that stuff that you made posters out of in high school. Just rip it off. They sell it by the yard. It's like 10 cents a yard or something of seam. And you can make your big old patterns out of it. Like when I did the
That's
Cosode robe for Kevin Flynn. I was able to get like a 12-foot long piece because it's one piece that goes up and then over my shoulder. And lay that out on there, draw it out, and there's your pattern. Before you cut it out in fabric, which is a
Yeah.
one-shot deal.
Yeah.
You
I'd
can't
rather
add.
waste 10 cents a yard than whatever the cost of your fabric
Yeah.
is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or you end up making terrible scarecrow pins.
For you, it's just extra detailing
Yeah.
in the groin area.
What I'm being known for is, hey, that scarecrow, his crotch blew out at Comic Con. Find me on Facebook.
So when you guys are making your costumes, do you use certain materials for the costume and different materials for the prop? Or what materials do you like using for props? Yes, Noah.
Warbler for armor, expanding foam for props.
Okay,
But
and
that-
why is that?
Because Warbler's expensive and expanding foam expands, so you can make stuff. You can make huge props that weigh like they're not heavy at all. Like
That was my next question.
I have a giant scythe that I made, and I mean, it's heavy, but it's a lot lighter than say a Buster Sword made of like solid wood.
Yeah, that thing's really heavy.
You can do balsa wood and cardboard, and you make your profile with cardboard or balsa, and then put your expanding foam on it, and then carve down to it.
Yeah.
And that's a messy
Yeah.
process because once there's static electricity flowing
Oh.
around, all the like foam will like float and just stick to everything.
I love it when you try to throw it away and it jumps out of the trash can.
I'm tempted to like one time just seriously get expanding foam, carve it up, roll around, and then just go to con and just walk around and be like, "Yep, I'm your worst nightmare." I'm expanding foam.
That's like peanuts. Shipping peanuts, they breed. I swear they breed. You will find them forever.
You can get like one of those balls that have the electricity in them. Put it on
A
a battery.
Vandergraaf?
Yeah, and then walk around and just pick up all the pieces because they're gonna stick to it. So it's like,
It's a few thousand bolts and lightning bolts.
and then use it in your costume.
Sounds like a night for fun.
So would you guys rather have a heavy costume and a light prop, or a light costume and a heavy prop?
Light
Light
prop.
everything.
Yes.
Heavy costume and a light prop.
Is the motto that that we've come to terms with is for cosplay.
That's what you say. Like you sitting there like this kid cut his hair for Two-Face
Yep.
and sitting there.
Yeah.
Let's see, I can only see
Actually,
one side.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
See, you guys don't realize it.
See,
You look normal from this way. Oh.
see, you sit there and like you have to like. It's kind of like psyching yourself out, like psyching yourself out,
See?
trying to get something. You're like I gotta do it, and then you're like for cosplay.
You fully committed.
Yeah, I fully committed to the head shaving, and I wanted complete accuracy for cosplay. So I 3D printed a mouthpiece so that I could stick that in my mouth to expose half of my face, and there are apparent downsides to that.
So Exhibit A, wigs are not always necessary materials if you can shave your own head and dye it whatever color you want.
I shave off the top of my goatee. This is,
I do too.
It's so nice. Have you seen
kidding.
Karen Olda Effects? She did the same thing, only she shaved her head bald
For
so she could be Nebula.
Yeah, I saw
So
that.
did
That's
Miss Sinister
amazing.
for her Kratos
Yeah.
from
the-
God of
yeah.
War. Oh, I love her. I would love to shave my head.
Yeah, then you
hair.
should
I'd
wear
do it
whatever
to
wig
her,
she
right?
wants.
Well, then
Yeah.
it makes putting on wigs that much easier
Yeah,
if you have a
itchier.
bald head.
No
just
hair to
like,
hide.
Yeah, and my luxurious hair, I have the best hair here, by the way.
No, I do.
No,
Yeah, I
really
do.
Whitney, who has the
I'm
best
dreading the day
I have
wear
half
wig.
a hair and it's better
No, it
than
has
all
fabulous
yours.
hair, actually.
Boom!
Brag about my hair.
Do it!
Well, back to materials.
Yes, back
Hairs
to
and
materials.
Do you
Again.
use costumes made of hair?
No. Fur.
I know that
use-
people do like the Wookiee costumes or the Chewbacca costumes, and they use like wefts of hair
That
extensions
would
to
take
get
so
like the
long.
long.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, what were you
Oh.
saying, Scott?
As far as materials, I like to use wood again for props, mainly because it is relatively light
Got one.
And durable.
and durable, unless you're Noah. Let's see. Oh yes, this Tonfa here. Just
You just broke my tonfa?
yes, he was sitting in his chair.
I was doing a spinning motion.
You just made more of a fall
See,
off.
look at that.
I was doing a spinning motion. And
Yeah.
it went
Thump.
whack!
He's
You just broke
playing.
more of it.
He's playing ninja
It's
in
battle
the
damage.
chair, and he's
Actually-
breaking
You
them.
weren't going to use it anyway. So
Yes,
you
I was,
took
just
both.
not
But it's-
yet.
Wood putty.
Yeah. As far as materials, I'm also working on Nightmare sword, well, Nightmare costume, but he is from the Soul Calibur game series.
You can afford it, by the way. 3D printer.
Magical.
It makes
But you
sense.
don't always have to have a 3D printer.
You don't have to, but
They're awesome.
Yeah,
The-
they are nice, but they do have their benefits and their downsides.
They take forever.
Yeah,
they smell
Hours.
funny.
And they're loud.
yeah, a little.
Well, again, it
bit.
smells like maple syrup if you use PLA.
Yeah,
plastic.
PLA.
It smells like a burnt
That's not
cat.
toxic. That's ABS.
So for my Nightmare sword, what I did is this similar construction to old canvas airplanes where they have a wooden frame and then they have a canvas skin over the top of it. Well, I went and modified that for my sword, and I made a wooden frame, and then I took EVA foam, actual foam matting, thicker than this, and I put it over the sword.
I was
and
talking
it
about craft foam.
You're talking about like
no,
like
No,
a
but-
ship, ribs of a ship, and then you put siding on. it.
Yeah,
So fill
but,
it.
yeah,
That's-
exactly like a ship, and that's what I did. And it's actually for what the sword looks like. You'd think it's heavy, but it's
It's
actually
like 6 feet long.
It's got
Yes.
an animatronic eye.
yes.
It's
Cool.
huge.
It's
Yes.
crazy.
I did the same thing for Zod's armor on the chest piece. Little tiny triangles of foam going down in a row, and then just cutting little strips of EVA,
Mhm.
just the craft foam, and then just putting it on there like a skin,
Mhm.
and then putting Warbler over that to make it durable. And as far as 3D printers go, I'm so close to buying one, but I don't want to because this new printer came out that's like 1,000 times faster.
You talk about the one like dips.
Yeah, the one that dips into the
Oh,
resin,
yeah.
and then it just pulls out what you want. It's just
They're-
ultra high resolution.
I've looked into those.
But
and
the
they
resin's
are
expensive.
Quite expensive.
Yeah, but
resins.
with technology, everything comes down in price and time.
Yeah,
A couple years, that thing will be $1,000, like a regular 3D printer.
Because that's
Wait,
not
tell me more
inexpensive.
about it.
It's awesome. It just goes in and it just pulls out.
Yeah, instead of going around in a circle, basically most 3D printers are like that hot melt glue gun, only with a smaller glue thing, about 1 millimeter around, and it draws in one layer, just draws around and around and around and
And
around and around and around.
patterns.
yeah.
Thousands of layers for some things until you get done. With this other one, it actually projects a cross section up with light, and that hardens the resin. Resin is like epoxy, only it takes a
something
little
we
bit
should talk
longer.
It's photoreactive resin.
It's photoreactive resin.
No, it's
I was trying to
magic.
use simple, normal words instead of your big fancy $10 words.
I got it on sale for $4.99. Okay.
I
So,
feel like Eric is
it's
like
awesome.
the Bill
I'm
Nye of
technical.
cosplay right now.
Technical. I love it. I like all the new toys. And then
Bow tie.
it just pulls it out, and it's
That's
so
super
much faster.
fascinating.
Eric Browning, the
I'm just waiting for it to
guy.
get bigger and cheaper,
We
which
should-
happens.
Yes, that better happen. You should talk about resin casting.
Yes, resin casting.
Silicone.
What I'm working on right now is Pokeballs from Pokemon. Everybody knows those. I actually 3D printed the Pokeball that will serve as my master mold, and then
Not the
what
Marvel
I'm-
character, right? Master
No.
Mold.
That's
He's one of the obscure ones.
Like
There's a lot of those.
He's the
Master
best.
Mold, X-Men?
Nope.
I haven't seen the new X.
See that potato?
It was like in the animated series on top of that.
Oh, I haven't watched it.
Anyways,
Anyway.
resin.
Anyway.
Sorry.
So I have my master, and then I'm going to cast a negative in silicone, and from the silicone I will have a master mold that I could just simply pour in the acrylic resin.
Would you say you have a
Is it gonna
master
be-
ball?
I actually do have a master ball, but it doesn't look like a master ball.
I have an 8-ball.
Oh wow.
What is your fortune teller?
Enough about each other's balls. Let's continue.
Not at this time. Are you gonna slush cast it, or is it gonna be one solid ball?
I love
No,
slush
it's
casting, it's the
actually
best.
no, it's
You're gonna slush cast your balls. Sorry.
No.
We're gonna have to edit
We've
a lot
gone
of
now to
Cat
PG-13
sounds over
We're
rating.
to
talking about
language.
Pokeballs. I don't know what you guys are thinking about.
no, it is actually a functioning ball. When you hit the little button on it, it'll open up. So it has each half is its own mold. It's gonna take a bit, but for accuracy.
For cosplay.
For
And
cosplay.
we're gonna make light up materia balls to
Those are
from
gonna be
Final
fun.
Fantasy.
Final Fantasy
Materia.
7 specifically.
Yeah.
We should
We'll
tell
have
this
magic.
article.
I'm going to nod and smile.
What kind of, are there different materials for lighting techniques that you guys like?
LEDs,
That's
and
not true.
elementary, electroluminescent tape, wire, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Christmas lights.
Boom! It's
Christmas
That's
lights,
what
car
Samus
battery,
is. That's
you're
all my
fine.
Samus is Christmas lights.
In a car battery?
Nice.
No, a normal battery.
I'm not going to get into
Battery,
electrical
like
theory, but
6D
you can
batteries.
do lots of stuff with LEDs, even off of a single AA battery. You can light stuff up.
Mine
But
takes
it doesn't take a
3.
lot. You just need to get over that hump of voltage, and then you're good.
Nice. So when you guys have the different materials for props, what are your favorite ones to work with? Or which ones haven't worked for you in the past that you've had to change?
I guess it would come down to the type of prop because
Like a staff, you'd use like PVC pipe.
Yeah,
you know,
PVC
Something
pipe.
I was gonna
Um,
say I use carbon fiber pipes.
Yeah,
It's much lighter. They're
Aren't you
LARPing
fancy?
materials.
yeah.
I'm sorry, it's light.
Isn't that expensive? Carbon fiber is not
I
cheap.
don't know. I got
No,
it
no,
for
no.
free.
You can get it. She steals them.
No.
You can
Where's your source?
Fits.
There you go.
Walking, just got
Yeah.
Doink.
This is only
Yeah,
support
I mean, my Thor hammer I made out of I went to Home Depot and I just got a little plastic plumbing pipe and huge blocks of styrofoam, and then I just covered it with Wonderflex that it was hard. It was the lightest prop in the world, but it looks like a giant rock, so people would just pick it up and because they don't expect it to be as light as it is.
Whoa!
Mine is, one of the things I'm working on is Monster Hunter, and if you play Monster Hunter, you know how big every single weapon in that game is. So expanding foam, because I like expanding foam.
Or unless you kill the monster yourself, then use that material.
How about some shop safety? What should you always have?
Glasses.
Goggles.
Gloves.
Respirator.
Yeah, that is what
Emergency
I was
Respirators
contacts.
are good for
Dust
your
masks.
Eyelids and nostrils. No.
Well, especially when you work with a lot of EVA foam,
Yeah.
even if you're going to do blades, if you're going to sand it, you don't want to
Yeah.
inhale that. You need a respirator.
Uh,
$20 at Home Depot.
And
Yeah.
if you're working
It's
with
cheap.
bigger stuff and you don't necessarily want to use or go buy a respirator or something, make sure you have some sort of
Leave
what
those
are they
little
called?
paper
Bandanas
dust
or-
masks.
A mask or
Yeah.
shirt tied around your face.
Yeah.
Exactly,
yeah.
a shirt from,
I just
from
use
your
bandanas,
closet.
yeah.
Exactly. See, it works for everything. Never clean out your closets. They're useful. That something someone just said reminded me of a question I was going to ask, and I
Safety?
said, you were talking about
What the fox says.
no, I remembered. So when sanding, so when
somebody
you guys
always
are
does that, I'm
sanding, do
sorry.
you have favorite primers and favorite finishing materials that you can use?
Wood
Fill-
glue.
Filler primer.
More expanding foam.
Yeah, filler
Do
primer
you
is
want to
awesome
explain
too.
it?
Filler primer is, it's a rattle can, you shake it up, and you spray it on in successive coats, and then you sand it down. Usually you wet sand it. For Zod, I dry sanded it, because that way I could pit it, so it looked like it was old. But if you wet sand it, you'll get a nice, super shiny, buttery smooth finish.
For those who don't know, wet sanding is when you apply sandpaper into water and
Yeah.
then you sand.
It's like a
It's really
600 or
high grit.
1,000 grit
Yeah.
sandpaper. It's that black sandpaper you get that feels like it's just paper. That's how fine it is. And then you wet your piece down and then you sand it.
And isn't filler usually an automotive?
Yeah, it's an
Primer?
it's an automotive primer.
Like
But
Bondo, right?
Yeah.
yeah, I like Bondo, but Bondo's messy and heavy.
Okay. And you said that you use gesso.
Yeah. It takes forever though.
Yeah,
I
that's
hate gesso
I-
just because the
I
And you
don't
have brush
like it.
strokes. You have
I
brush
use-
strokes.
I use
That's
it
exactly
also.
why I hate it.
I hate painting, but
Yeah,
I do.
painting is the
Uh,
bane of cosplay.
I was gonna say I'm a big airbrusher. I picked up an airbrush and I learned how to use it, and so
You'll
my
have to
life's
teach
changed
me.
forever. Oh
Well,
gosh,
I need to get one.
I'll teach you all the things.
I'm out spray paint. I'm good with that.
So when you guys, after you paint it and you want to finish it, what are your favorite techniques or materials used to do that?
If you use an enamel, make sure it's not acetone based.
Yeah.
It'll eat your phone.
Acetone.
Yeah.
Everything.
I love automotive products because I used to paint cars for a living. And so my big one is crap. What's it called? Hold on, I'll have to look it up.
Krylon?
Come back to me.
My favorite one is, what's it called again?
I use rub and buff on Zod because it looks like a metal. It's
I
a
love
wax
rub and
metallic.
buff.
Yeah.
Wax
rub is
metallic
good.
stuff. Problem is though, you have to rub it like crazy to get it to seal itself, or you hit it with the heat gun.
Yeah.
That
Spray
melts it.
Max. That's what I use.
Spray Max paint.
I'll have to try that.
But yeah, with rub and buff, you just kind of rub it down. You can mix it together too. I mean, I have brown and blacks all kind of swirled together in some parts to make it just look sooty and dirty. So you just kind of mix together. And with rub and buff, you can thin it with a little bit of turpentine.
Yeah.
And that'll make it nice and paintable. Because if you try to just use a brush directly with rub and buff, it's
Clumps.
like painting, yeah, with
Yeah.
Semi-dry
a
paint.
crayon. You
I
know.
hope you guys are all taking notes because everything he says
I'm
is very
sorry.
technical. No, it's very insightful.
I even used him when I was working on my scarecrow hand to make it look metallic because I didn't know how to seal the rub and buff. And he commented and
I
he's like,
stalked Derek for a little while. Not gonna lie.
it's creepy.
So this is a
My wife
confession.
knows. Who's calling you boo boo?
Way to go.
This girl. Don't worry about her. She's great.
Don't worry, it's nothing.
So everyone here is well versed in some of the same materials and a bunch of different ones also. What advice would you give to someone just starting out as far as the difficulty level of the materials that we've talked about so far today?
I started with stuff that you could easily grab from any local store. So if you're starting with armor or something, you say, okay, I want to make this. You're not going to get online and order Warbler because you're not going to know what you're doing. Unless you talk to Ash and she says to order Warbler. So you're going to go to Walmart and you're going to go into down their craft section. You're going to go, okay, what can I use to make this? And you're going to pick up the craft foam. You're going to say, okay, this looks good. And you're going to use that. So I would suggest starting with local products.
I'd probably start, for armor people, your first armor, even though I went Warbler right off the bat
Me too.
for my
Same.
first cosplay. Get the EVA foam tiles. They're about a half an inch thick. They're usually like a diamond plate texture on one side or like this microfoam pattern, and then they're smooth on the other. Super glue will stick that stuff together instantly. It's great stuff, and barge, but super glue if you want a straight bond. Use your heat gun, $15, $20 heat gun, Harbor Freight. Not,
Use
not,
Same
gloves.
place.
not difficult. Well, with the foam, it's not bad. With Warbler, it's stuff, but your gloves will stick to the Warbler.
Use gloves with super glue.
Yeah, yes, with super glue. It's no fun until you glue something to something else.
Yeah, I know without gluing
Like
something.
this,
I like my skin being a
You're
part
gonna
of my
burn yourself
cosplay.
with glue yourself.
Use an
a lot of
X-Acto
things.
knife to get your fingers apart.
Don't let Zabracus super glue mustaches to your face. Fun fact.
Super glue? Not
She's
spirit
just
gun?
smiling.
She is smiling.
Your eyes didn't burn?
We didn't have, I'm immune to most things, but we didn't have any spirit gum, or else we probably would have used that.
Super glue.
It was actually when we were with
Comic-Con tips.
Comic-Con tips, getting our Dragon Ball Z pictures taken at the Salt Flats.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to that foam stuff. I mean, Ronan, John, with his stuff, that great big old Warhammer stuff, it's all foam. And then he just used Plastidip. That's why I meant to bring it up.
Plastidip, that's
I
the
love
one thing
Plastidip.
I was trying to remember what it was called.
All in favor of
Plastidip-
Plastidip, raise your hand.
Oh,
Said-
hater? No.
It will not shield Warbler from heat.
I'm just
Fitz-
asking the
Fitz
question.
tried with Warbler and Plastidip because we were talking about it
Mhm.
at con
Yeah.
last year. It didn't quite work. It almost does. Don't get the spray kind.
Yeah.
Use get the Plastidip in a can, like a gallon jug or gallon.
Wait, do you spray that stuff? I've only used it.
You can
You can
spray
get
it, but you
it.
thin it with a naphtha.
Is that
or-
a urethane?
No, it's called naphtha. And it's actually, you can't buy naphtha. There's like a different version of naphtha. Fitz knows what it's called. It's a
Okay.
alternative naphtha.
Okay.
And you mix that together in just an airless paint sprayer. Again, Harbor Freight, $30-40 to get those airless paint sprayers.
Is it a the
Just
guns?
spray it down. No, it's like a house sprayer. It's an airless sprayer.
Oh, I know what you're
Yeah,
talking
it's got
about.
the jug that screws on the bottom,
Yeah.
and then it's got just a
It's like a
little
squirt
gun.
bottle.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a powered squirt
never
bottle,
seen
and
one
then
of
you can spray your foam with it, and it will be smooth. If you use the spray can stuff, you'll get drips and bops and bubbles and blobs.
Unless you're good to go.
That's
Yeah, I
about
was
it.
gonna say I've never had.
Yeah,
I've never had
Fitz came up with that
problems with
idea.
it.
I'm not laying claim
And
to it.
Yeah.
one of
He's
our
a
last
genius on it.
questions:
No, Fitz
what
is a genius.
He is the genius.
what is a material that you would suggest for a high difficulty level?
Leather.
Metal.
We didn't
Metal.
know. We didn't talk
Metal.
about metal.
Uh,
You
Yeah.
want to get high difficulty metal.
Yeah.
Well, it's a high startup. I mean, you need a whole bunch of
You need a
tools.
forge. I also would say even casting, if you want to get into casting and stuff, that requires quite a.
It's not too bad. I mean,
Says Eric Browning.
no, it's not bad.
It's really not too bad.
So, you get a little bit of Sculpey. You get
Yeah.
for the
Silicone.
cheap the mold putty, and you just
Oh, yeah,
squish
that's
it over it, and then you wait 20 minutes. You turn it over, take it out, put it in your resin. You're done.
I was more
Bada boom,
thinking if
bada
you're
bing.
casting like a helmet or.
Same thing.
Same thing,
bucket.
That's what it's
Put it on your head. Hold your breath.
2 minutes later, have somebody come check on you. If not, you're not coming back.
I don't think I can hold my breath that long.
All right. So as we wrap up every video, give a piece of advice about materials. Where'd it go?
About
YouTube.
materials.
Seriously, like whatever you need to learn, YouTube. Especially Vorbla Kamui, her videos.
She sells
Just watch
books,
them.
too.
And she, on like everything.
Ebooks. You don't have to wait for shipping.
Okay.
What else? Tip. Experiment. Play with it. Play with glues. Stick things together.
But not
Pull
yourself.
on it. Yeah, don't glue yourself together.
Or do.
Pull on it and see how strong things are before you build your armor and find out things don't hold well and they fall off. So
Don't give up. I'll just do the generic. Don't give up. Keep going, Slugger. You got it, Chief.
Anything?
I don't know what to add to that. I don't know what to follow in such a great bit of advice. Other than thumbs up?
For cosplay.
Yes.
Warble last. There you go.
I don't even know what to say.
Are you saying I had the best one?
I was gonna say Warbler, but
You're welcome.
just be yourself and
and have fun.
Be your own materials.
be your own.
Be your-
Use your skin.
Hey.
No.
Well, I think that I have a pretty good one, and that is you can follow every single one of these guys and girls. Relative term, whatever.
We just say
On
crossplay.
on our Cosplay for All website, we have tutorials, articles, videos, things that they will personally help you with listening to these podcasts. So Cosplay for All and comiccon.tips, and we will see you guys next time.
For
Oh, you guys did it
cosplay.
this time, yay!